Another one of my Millionaire Missionary mentors taught me in that success in life and business is not about who you know, but who you meet and how you meet them. And when I began to realize, I'm like, whoa, there's a lot to that, because sometimes we're like, well, I don't know a lot of people. Well, it's not about who you know now, it's who you meet and how you meet them. I'll give you an example. So we were, a couple years ago, we were looking at different pages of these different ministries, and we're looking at how did they financially support themselves, of these evangelistic businesses. And we're like, where's their financial support? What do they do? And we noticed that one of these larger ministries, they have these partnership events. And in these partnership events, like if you donate about $1,000 a month, $1,000 a year, then you're invited to attend this special partnership event. And I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. And then I saw that they had like 6 of them around the nation. I'm like, that's neat. And then I started to look at what their event was. I'm like, I wonder what they do there. I wonder how they talk or what they say or like what that is like. And I started to pray, and I was like, well, Lord, I'd really like to go to one of those things. And I was thinking, maybe I should go donate $1,000 so I could go see what they're doing. But as I'm praying, I meet someone who's been watching our videos, and they're all excited. They're at church, and then they were introducing what we do to her friend, Gina, and Gina's telling her friend, she's so excited, and she's like, hey, check this out. And it's like, you should be listening to their YouTube channel, and they're so practical. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then they started talking about this partnership event. They're like, are you going this year? And Gina's like, no, not this year, but I went 5 years. And then her friend's like, yeah, I'm not gonna go this year either. And I was like, okay. And so God just like impressed me. I was like, hey, if you ever want a guest, or if you ever want someone to go with you or something, like I would be down to come. I wouldn't be offended if you want to invite me or something. But I don't remember how I said it, but I made that comment, and she's like, okay. And then we just kept going. About a month later, I was standing in line for the food line at church, and she's like, hey, when you said that you wanted to go to the partnership events, were you being serious, or were you just like kidding around? I was like, no, I was being serious. I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh, great, because I called them up, I found out I could make you a guest, and then you can go to these places, and it's all set up. And it's like, how many people do you want to bring? I was like, whoa, well, maybe me and one other person. She's like, you could bring other people, you could bring your team. It's like, just however many you need. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I'm like, okay. So we were able to go over to Portland, where they were having this partnership event, and there were about 100 people in this room, and this ministry that is reaching millions, literally millions of people around the world through television, the internet, and overseas missions and local missions. It's just a great work, who I respect, and the people there. And as we're at this event, we're like, okay, this is cool. And we're seeing how it's done. We're learning what the ministry is doing in this evangelistic business, and how the evangelism is going through the world. And it's so powerful. And we're noticing the principles that are taking place. And then the leader of the ministry, his name is John Bradshaw with It Is Written. While we were there, someone on our team was like, hey, John, would you like to have breakfast with us so we could talk to you? And he's like, I would love to, sure. So we were able to sit down with the director of the ministry and for breakfast, and we're just having questions. He's like, hey, what do you do? Well, we help evangelistic entrepreneurs to be missionaries in the marketplace so they could serve Christ in commerce. He's like, you know what? That is a very important work. That is greatly needed. And so he was really encouraged by that. So we were able to meet John Bradshaw, who is what I would define as a millionaire missionary, where his organization is dealing with millions a year annually. But this isn't just like hoarding it up for himself and just his own personal wealth. Like he mentioned at the event, we are a pass-through ministry. We are like, the funds come to us, but we go to evangelism and soul winning, and we go to eternal interest. So it just goes through. And I saw at that event, there it is written, had a multiple six-figure day, where they were able to raise, like, it was like $240,000 just on that day. And it's exactly like what my friends were saying, the evangelistic entrepreneurs over in Tampa, Florida. And so I just saw it again. I'm like, yes, another example of people where I'm starting to realize who are people who are having these results. And you look at the impact, just the millions of people that they're reaching for Christ, and you see their financial support of how it's happening through virtual and live events, and you begin to realize these patterns. And at that event, there's a guy named Shawn who was going through a presentation about estate planning, and he was explaining how their ministry has another department that doesn't really get known as much, but where he makes pastoral visits to people, and he helps them understand finances, understand there's like tax breaks that people can do when they have charitable intent, or when they're interested in contribution, or just like he wants to serve. He's like, even if you don't give to our ministry, like I want you to know what is available to the people of God, so that you can make better financial decisions, whether you have a business, whether you're young or old. He's like, any age should have an estate plan, even if you're in your 20s or whatever. And I was listening, I'm like, wow, that's really powerful. Like, I had no idea. And then John Bradshaw gets on and is like, you guys don't understand. What he does and what the whole team here does is a ministry of the highest sense. They are such an invaluable resource as like, use that, like talk to them, get to know them. What do they do? And I was like, wow, okay. So Gina introduced me to John Bradshaw. John Bradshaw introduced me to Shawn. So then this is where I talk about, it's not about who you know, but who you meet. And then third, how you meet them. I could have listened to that and be like, okay, cool. That was really nice. It's like, God bless. But at the end of the event, I went up to Shawn. I said, hey, Shawn, I really liked your message. Thank you so much. Could you tell me, when you said everyone should have an estate plan, what did you mean by that? Can you tell me what are the other stuff that you guys do? And he was all excited to go into detail, and he's like explaining what he does. He's like, I drive by where do you live? It's like, I drive by there. I'd love to visit you. I was like, what? Me? Why would you want to visit me? And he's like, yeah, it's like, we'd love to visit. And I could go into more detail. I was like, okay, sure, let's do it. So literally, I think it was like, what, last week? Mm-hmm. Yeah, last week, he came by, and it was that time. He calls up, he's like, I'm going to be in town. Are you available? It's like, yeah, let's do it. So he came over, and we spoke to him for like 3 or 4 hours. And we literally wrote down what are some of the questions we had financially that we didn't have. We don't have that mentor. We don't have that financial advisor. We don't have like, not that he's giving financial advice legally, but like we had questions about finances that we didn't really get or didn't know how to find answers. And it was so cool because we were able to just ask all of our questions, and he answered almost all of them. And he said of the ones that we can't answer, he's like, I've got so many contacts and resources. We've done some incredibly creative things regarding some of these trusts and regarding donations and regarding finances. Like the sky's the limit. Like if there's something, depending on the circumstance, we could tailor it to fit or help whatever is needed. And he's like, if I don't know the answer, I'm like, he was 100% certain that from the people he knows who've been doing this for a long time, very specialized knowledge, he could find the answers. And I'm like, wow, what a blessing. So now, through him, we have access to other resources of people that he knows. And like, he was all excited. He's like, oh, this is so refreshing. Usually people don't ask me in such detail. This was so great. And I love this opportunity to express, and like, that's what he does, right? That's his ministry. He's like, 90% of the visits I do, they're pastoral visits. And I'm like, man, this is like, people need to know this stuff exists. So like, as I'm going through this, the reason I share this with you is because I want you to see how a network works. Is like, I met Gina introduced me to John Bradshaw, and John Bradshaw introduced me to Shawn, and then now Shawn has like, we've been connecting, and he's going to help answer further questions. It's like, and then there's no limit, and then it's just like other connections, and that's just how life works. So I want you to see, it's not about who you know when it comes to mentorship. It's about who you meet and how you meet them. Wait, did you like this video? Did you know that I have a challenge coming up? It's called the Evangelistic Business Challenge. Are you interested in knowing how you can serve God through business? Would you like to use your business as a vehicle to serve the Lord? In this challenge, I'm going to be showing you these business growth strategies based on biblical principles and how you can use your business as a vehicle to reach more people to make an eternal impact. I would love to see you at the challenge. Go to the website evangelisticbusinesschallenge.com and you can sign up today. And I'll send you information on when the next challenge is. And if you like the video, hit like, smash the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can get updated when new videos go live just like this. And I look forward to seeing you. Remember, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called.